to Kampala Road, and this is my March update after not doing one in February. My apologies. Lost my mojo a little bit after my debacle with the Duchess of Hamilton locomotive, and that's one of the reasons I did the British Rail more colourful liveries, to try and get me back into it. But also watching you guys on YouTube and the many channels I'm subscribed to, plus the new Facebook page which the guys have set up, and I'm just desperately looking for the name. Model Railway YouTube Community. That's a real eye-opener for me. I've got a long way to go on my layout to be as good as some of you guys on that. But so let me get on with it, and here we go. Right, on top there, I've got a low relief station building coming, or I hope so. I ordered it, let's put it like that, and it's been sent. When I get it, I don't know. Underneath, I've put a brick wall with doors and windows on to make it look like there's entrances and exits to the various platforms. And there are two gaps in the wall on the top there. That's where I want some stairs to come down. Or escalators or something like that. So a start has been made, but my enthusiasm for it hasn't been great, to be honest with you. If I didn't lay out again, I would not have a terminus station. But anyway, she's off and away. Just moving this way, the bridge there is coming along. The footbridge is an old Trang concrete or steel bridge, I don't know, but it looks at home there. It'll do for the moment. And then there's a couple of super quick buildings as you head out. So the longest platform there can hold 5 coaches, and the loco sits out at the front there, as you can see. This curved platform at the foreground will hold 5 coaches and a loco, but the loco is parked on the points there, just behind the accessory decoder, you can see, and that messy wiring, which I've got to sort out. A little bit of detailing going on there on this side of the line, and that's a second radius curve, so it's quite tight on the inside, and that's because this room is quite narrow, but we have to live with what we've got. So it's coming on. At least I've got something that's beginning to look like a station. The curved platform is working quite well, and I've done some ballasting around that area, but I did make a cock-up. Those who have suffered my videos will know I do that on a regular basis. I was ballasting and must have nudged the platform, because I did measure it before I started ballasting and run Mark III coaches round. And when I put the ballast in, let it set and dry, then I ran a coach on the outside, on the outside of the platform here, and it wouldn't work. It jammed itself up against the platform, so I must have nudged it. So I had to wet the ballast, take it all up, and in doing so have damaged the cardboard Metcalf platform edge. So those plants you can see are strategically placed where the paper brickwork has been damaged. Quite like this little corner of the station. I do want, the original plan was for have a class 20 parked up there as a station shutter, but it's not quite long enough, I don't think, and I think 08 would sit nicely. The reason I wanted a class 20 was because it could probably deal with my uneven track work better than an 08. But we'll see. I'll give the 08 a try, and if it's not successful over uneven track and point work, etc., I may revert back to the original plan. Okay, one other thing I've been doing, or received this month I should say, is some TTS decoders. I've got two for a class 37 and one for a class 47. This Vitrains is a recipient of one of the 37 chips, and I left the plastic cone on the speaker on this one because there's room for it in a Vitrains locomotive. I also fitted the other one in a Bachmann loco and took the cone off because there's no room. And I have to say that the one without the cone sounds much better than this one. And throughout this video you'll hear bits and pieces from both locos, so you can make up your mind. But this one does sound like a bad recording, whereas the other one sounds a bit more realistic. But I think it's going to be bad for the wallet, this TTS stuff, because they do sound good, and if they sound good, then the real McCoy must sound even better. And I would love to, those two locos you can see now, you know, Southwest Digital, Legoman, Biffa, whatever you've heard or I've heard, House, I don't know anything about them, but yeah, it could be bad for the bank balance in the future, so I've refrained myself from doing it due to the cost, which is astronomical. But still, I think when I hear people's on YouTube, it must be very rewarding. So the station's coming on. I'm getting something that looks a little bit like one. I've still got some ballasting to do. I've run out of this mixed light grey ballasting. It seems to be very popular. And I have to wait till I go somewhere to get some of that. But otherwise, semblance of a station, Kampala Road. One of the areas I wanted to modernise after my January update, I think it was to get these two sidings here to run out onto the main line so I could run trains through. So the points are here, and I now have those two sidings as I want them that run through. And as you can see, we have another 37 there, and she can run out onto the main line if she wants to, and it allows me much more flexibility. And again, sitting in the Fat Controller's chair on the far side of that branch line, well, it means that I don't have to come and uncouple trains and everything at a dead end of the siding. So these two here are the main lines, and I can now run trains off the main line on diversionary route along here, along here, along here, this way and this way, and then they rejoin the main line at each end. Gives me a lot of flexibility. I'm happy about that. So this is my mistake or cock-up of the month, the second one. My accessory decoder to power the points I've just shown you, and 3 sets of points underneath what will be a tunnel going underneath the branch line. There I connected one point up. That there is the connection to the DCC bus to get the signal. Then that connection there is to the mains power. I connected it to my accessory power bus, which runs out of the Elite, and bang, I tried to change the point and there was a horrible smell coming from there. So I've obviously burnt out one accessory decoder. Trying to work out what I'd done wrong, it took me a while because the instructions say AC power. I didn't realise that the power coming out of the back of the Elite is DC. So anybody who's watching this, if you let me have a comment on what you use to power one of these, I'd appreciate it. I'll have to get something to power it. So unfortunately I will not be able to use that decoder for some time, because whatever suggestion comes in I've then got to source and bring it into the country. So I may revert to the Hornby accessory decoders to run these points on this set of sidings, etc., just while I wait for the correct power source, the lens decoder. So that was cock-up number 2 for the month. This is one of my favourite locos, David Lloyd George, Vitrains 37. It was the very first Vitrains loco launched from the wreckage of the Lima takeover, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. And I fixed it this week using a new motor, and also the pickups needed completely pulling apart. Very, very simple locos to work on, except for the pickups, which are complex. And I have another one which is in a similar situation with a seized motor, and what I'll do is I'll do a separate video of what I did, pulling it apart and repairing it. I'll do that in next week or so. But she's a great runner, and well, that's my weathering. About 10-12 years ago I did that as an experiment. Yep. Comments down below please. One of the other problems I've been experiencing, I didn't use the layout for about 5 weeks, and another reason I sort of lost my mojo was the fact that nothing worked when I got back. A lot of oxidization, a lot of things I'd fixed were back to square one, especially on the Locomotive pickups, that sort of thing. But the one thing that did surprise me were these point motors. These above ground point motors had seized. Not all. I've probably got about 15 on the layout at the moment, so I'll probably have about 25 when I've finished. But many of them had seized up, and I had to do this to to revitalise them. A couple of them are still giving me problems, but most are working, but I didn't understand why. That was one problem I didn't really expect. Love these large logo 37s, they look wonderful. I started doing something about this chunk of wood that sticks out on this corner, and I've decided to do a brick facade. So you can see what I've done so far, and I may do a brick wall up there where the white tape is, just to hide that corner. I think that's the best I can do on that section really. But it's been bothering me with all the camera work I'm doing for these YouTube videos that this chunk of wood sticks out across the layout, so at least there is some sort of camouflage. And finally, it's been suggested to me that being as my videos regularly get interrupted by a cockerel from next door, I call this cutting cockerel cutting, which I think is quite good. And also a name for the cockerel which has been suggested is Paxo. So we're going to call him Paxo. Having said that, he's noticeably quiet today. So I hope you enjoyed that. A bit short, haven't done too much this month with travel and lack of motivation, but I'm back into it, and there's a couple of good videos coming up, I hope. Repair of I-Train's locomotive, and also I have a locomotive that's been in a box for a good 2 or 3 years that somebody has prompted me to unbox. So I may do a Mark II type unboxing of a loco in the near future. But from Kampala and Uganda, thank you very much for watching, and cheers for now.